What is up? Happy opening day. Thanks for being here. We're going to talk about this, unfortunately, loss for the Twins 5-3 on opening day in St. Louis. But great to have baseball back. Great to be watching competitive baseball where both teams are trying to win. There's some fun parts about spring training, but to say it's not the same is an understatement. And we're going to take you through this game. The Cardinals led wire to wire. And really, they established this game in the first two innings. I'm going to hyper fixate on the first two innings here, taking you to the top of the first, and it really starts there with Sonny Gray just cruising through the top of the first inning. You know, maybe it was the right strategy to be aggressive against him, and it just didn't work. But the Twins only saw 6 pitches in the first inning. You see Trevor Larnach leading off, Matt Wallner leading off, swung at the first pitch. Carlos Correa strikes out on 4 pitches, and then Byron Buxton also swings at the first pitch. So a 6-pitch first inning for Sonny Gray. That just makes it feel easy peasy. You get back in the dugout, and it's like, oh, that was nothing. And then to contrast that with the bottom of the first for the Twins, it's not like it was this extreme nightmare inning or anything like that, but it was much more laborious. The Cardinals got on the board. A 2-strike single from Lars Nootbaar there, and then he's stealing second, and Pablo's called for a balk. I didn't see the balk, and honestly, I feel like this was like an ump show. He was way too animated on this call for my liking. I don't know. That's all I'll say there. But, stuff like that's bound to happen. Carlos Correa has to keep this ball in the infield. Stuff like that is not bound to happen, and that brought a runaround. The fact that got into the outfield. Matt Wallner with a great diving catch in the outfield here to help things along in the first inning. Could have been a lot worse. And then Correa makes this play here to end it. So it's not like it was a disaster. St. Louis only scores 1 run. But I thought they did a nice job of taking advantage of that little miscue with the balk and getting that run around. And again, so the Twins, there's the balk, whether that was legit or not. That's not even a play that can be challenged. So it's almost a waste of breath to talk about. So I want to move on. But in addition to that, Carlos Correa not keeping that ball in the infield stung too. But again, it was only 1 run, so it's not like things were too dire here. And then in the top of the second, you want to see the Twins start to build their own momentum, and they did. Trevor Larnach had he looked really good all day. Maybe that's why I had his name in my mind earlier instead of Matt Wallner. But he singles, Ty France singles, Willie Castro works along at bat, and he draws a walk to load the bases with 1 out, but Jose Miranda strikes out. That was a really good pitch, really good sequencing from Sonny Gray there. And then Harrison Bader flies out to the foul territory over here to end it. So the Twins load the bases with 1 out and do not score. So they made Sonny work in that inning. They got some stuff going, but not scoring any runs is almost like another gut punch and another kind of momentum shift toward St. Louis. And then it kind of kept going that way because in the bottom of the second, you see here they run before Pablo even starts his motion again. And, he's probably frazzled because he called for a balk. This looks the exact same. I know I was going to talk about the balk again, but if the first one was a balk, I don't know if that's not a balk, but whatever. That happens, and then Lars Nootbaar, another 2-strike hit with 2 outs. The Twins 1 strike away from getting out of this inning, and this is not a bad pitch. This is a pitch below the zone, a changeup. So, it's not like I don't think Pablo made a bad pitch. Maybe this was a little too center cut. If we want to be really fine about it, I think we can argue that. It's not like it was a 10 out of 10 pitch. There we see that there, pitch number 4. But I do think that was like a 10 out of 10 swing from Lars Nootbaar. I think that's one of those ones where you have to credit the opponent for beating you more than you making a mistake. And that was really the difference in the game. That really set the tone. That put the Cardinals up 3-0 in the bottom of the second inning. Again, like I said, I was going to hyper-fixate on that. The Twins did do a nice job of fighting back. They got down 4-0, fought back to get to, I think, 3-4 before Griffin Jacks gave up a home run to Nolan Arenado. So, it's not like this was some kind of disaster game for the Twins to open things up. But they made some mistakes, and St. Louis did a really good job of capitalizing on those mistakes. Pablo goes 5, gives up 2 earned runs in part because of an error that he himself made. So 87 pitches through 5 innings. The Cardinals made him work, even though he didn't walk anybody. Top hitting performances, we saw Trevor Larnach, we saw Harrison Bader, we saw Willie Castro. Bader had a great debut as a Twin. 2 extra base hits, one of them a 2-run home run. Willie Castro had a nice game. Trevor Larnach, 2 hits and a walk. He got taken out for Deshaun Kersey, pinch ran from him and stole his first career base in the big leagues. That was really neat to see. Before, we maybe talk about this too before the game started, just seeing, how is the batting order we're going to look. The broadcast, I don't want to get too deep into that. I didn't have any trouble getting on Twins TV the first time and using that with multiple devices, but a lot of people did. There's also a lot of frustration with people not knowing if they had access to the game. And then on top of that, it was almost a blessing that this game was delayed by rain, because at the time of the original start time, all of MLB TV went down, MLB.TV. So anybody watching, streaming anywhere, any game. It wasn't just the Twins, it was every game was down for a period, and luckily the Twins were in a rain delay during that, and things got back up and running for the actual game. So this was the opening day batting order. We know how things go, with Rocco Baldelli in particular, but really just 2025 Major League Baseball. Nobody's going to run out a set lineup each and every day in this day and age. So this was the go-to lineup against the right-handed starting pitcher, Sonny Gray. So the main decision was Edouard Julien on the bench, with Harrison Bader in left field and Trevor Larnach at DH. I would say it was probably the primary decision that Rocco Baldelli was faced with in this one. I mentioned Sonny Gray started. Enjoyed watching him pitch, and he really did pitch today. He didn't have his best velo, but he was really spotting his pitches, and he was really sequencing well, and you could tell he was catching the Twins off guard and off balance, and kind of playing the mental game very well. He only went 5 innings as well, so it's not like he completely dominated the Twins, but he looked good. He looked good in there. He was really hitting the corners. Again, unfortunately, even though, again, the end result, 5-3, and that's not like the Twins got completely destroyed, but it really did feel to me like after the first 2 innings, we know how today is going to look. The Twins will be off tomorrow, but the Saints are opening tomorrow. So we're going to talk about the St. Paul Saints game. If you're new here, please consider subscribing, leave a like on this video. If you would like something like this on a daily basis, just to be honest, I don't usually go this deep into the major league games, because I'm also usually talking about 4 minor league games each day and also sharing videos of those. So this was maybe a little bit of a deeper dig into the Twins game than I usually would do, but I also like to play around with formats, and who knows, things were easier for me with the Twins TV thing. There was a lot more I could do with that, having access to that and being able to pull it up on various devices. So, I don't know. I wouldn't rule out this year maybe having more of a major league focus. And of course, I love the minors so much, that's always going to be there. So, thank you for watching this video. Again, too bad the Twins couldn't pull out a win for us, but I enjoyed watching baseball. I'm going to be bummed out when they're not playing tomorrow, but we'll have the Saints tomorrow night. This early season schedule for Major Leagues always is tough to get into, because there's so many of these baked in scheduled off days in case of weather. So it's kind of herky-jerky, I would say. A lot of early games, a lot of afternoon games, too, and you'd usually be used to night games. But we'll get into the flow. About mid-April, we'll be hitting our stride, and hopefully the Twins will be as well. We'll talk again soon.